Coming to you live from sunny Arizona. The Steve Root Show is now live. And you're on.
People, welcome to the Dude Show. This is going to be a special broadcast where we're going to talk a lot about illustration and how and what you need to put into it to pull it off. And the demonstration I'm going to be doing today is going to be in colored inks, which I've talked about in previous podcasts. We'll get to it, okay? Now you'll notice this thing on my drawing board here. I hope. What does it look like to you guys? Fireman and some kind of a water spraying device? Well, I drew this in based on an artist's work named Robert Fawcett. And what I was hoping to do is adapt this painting right here to what I've done. Now look at the colors in that thing. Isn't that cool? That's cool. When you look at this, you can tell very quickly and easily that this guy is a super pro. And here's how he accomplishes things to make him a super pro, okay? I'm going to rely on my little sheet that I wrote down here. Before every live stream, I'm going to try to write down the main points so I'm organized, super organized, and I don't miss anything. So, before this can happen, you need to do thumbnails. And thumbnails you can do out of your head. You don't need models for that or anything like that. Some people never use models throughout the entire process. I don't recommend that if you're a realist. And then he's got to do the color that he sees in his mind. He puts that down. So everything in your imagination, you put that down first before anything else is called in. Now the research. Everything here is researched. Because back when this was done in the 1940s, there was a little less than what we have now. And when you have a little less, you make a lot more of something that's less. And that would be in the form of reader responses, letters that would come into the magazine's editors and say, that axe that your fireman is carrying, the one you see right here, is all wrong. They don't use an axe like that, so the artist did not do his research properly. Well, that happens all the time. So back then, they really had to be scrutinized and really research their stuff correctly before they could finish an illustration. A lot of guys in my field can wing it, but honestly, when I show you the work this guy's done, it's so real that you could never accomplish it without models. So what he would do is he would do like a basic thing like this. He would decide what's dark and what's light, and then he would decide what colors are going on, and then the background. What's going on over here? Well, there's a burning house going on back there. This is a window right here. This is shrubbery, and this stuff, who knows? But it's meant to give off the vibe of I love it when I forget words. What was the word I was going to use, guys? Tell me what. Everything's going haywire. That's not the word I wanted to use, but oh boy, sometimes I hate myself. So until I think of that word, this illustration is meant to show confusion, drama, and probably a lot of confusion on how these firemen are going to take on this fire right here. It probably wouldn't have been illustrated if it wasn't an extraordinary device that is different from the routine that firefighters normally go through. And that makes it good stories. It makes good stories. So, oddly enough, the illustrators that worked for during the 1940s and 50s and 30s worked for women's magazines. Now, isn't that odd? This is all for women's magazines here. So they had the Saturday Evening Post, which was far more neutral. You could do anything there. They had Red Book, they had Ladies Home Journal, they had Ladies Home, whatever the hell, and Esquire, that had some ladies stuff. And God, there must have been a few, at least 5 more that were the top places you would go, the top institutions you would go. And when you're starting out, you would go to you make an appointment with the art editor, and these were all guys in New York, because things hadn't migrated nearly as far or as much to California. So New York was the place to be. And so a lot of businesses, animation businesses and illustration businesses were all located in Manhattan. And that's where their offices were. It kind of gives the impression of status. And is that the worthless stick over there? Oh, Flowhard is sneezing. Here, we'll show you right here, just so you know it's an actual live moment here. Flowhard is sneezing. Are you done sneezing, Flowhard? What's that? Okay, well, I'll let you know if it happens again, okay? We'll give you anti-sneeze milk bones. So, back to this right here. So that was the reality of life as an illustrator in New York. And I think back in the days, in my head, and imagine what it would have been like. Well, it probably would have been far less glamorous than I'm making it in my mind, but I'm happy to put it in my mind because it's more glamorous. And I think about meeting all these artists. Well, that's romanticized too, because a lot of these artists, they were curmudgeons and they didn't want to talk to anyone. They would boot you out of their studio before you got a chance to even grab a cup of coffee in the lobby. Now, the dude, however, does not put up with that crap. I just would have bull rushed into their offices, tell them who I am, and tell them I'm going to stay until they're done with the picture. But that's me. I harp on you guys constantly about not wasting your time. Well, you tend to waste the most amount of time when you're young. After all, you're going to live forever, so why not just squander some of it? And that's an important phase of life. You go to the discos and you pick up girls, and you go to movies and all sorts of fun things, sporting events. And then age will settle down a little bit. And you'll go from 20 to 30, and then a slight change, but not much. It didn't happen with me. And then we get into 40s and 50s. 50s is when I had to stop everything in my life and ask myself, okay, what do I want to do? Well, the answer, it turned out, was fine art. I wanted to go into the fine art gallery field. But that's a ridiculous name, fine art, because everything done by any illustrator is fine art as well. It's just good art, okay? And there's no separation between these silly names that people come up with just to propagate their snob appeal. Propagate, look that one up. So, let's move on here. We got a lot of exciting stuff to talk about. Now, you latecomers, shame on you, still have the ability to order the THUNEWORLD hardcover. Now, who would want to turn down a book like this? Who would want to turn it off, for that matter? The book is freaking huge. It weighs 1 billion pounds, and you're going to like it, because I liked it, and no one's tougher on myself than me. So that's what the book is going to look like. So order it today. See the link below. What do we have here? Oh, this is the sketchbook. This is a 2026 sketchbook. Would you look at that? That's the cover of it right there. Impressive? Of course. Yes, of course you are. And here are some pages from it, just to give you guys an inkling before you link below. That's Brianna. She was one of my models. I used to get a lot of models back in the early 2000s. Now they're all scattered to the winds, and I think they're all in a concentration camp somewhere for women that are too old to model anymore. This is, we're calling it the Art of Steve Rude. I call it a sketchbook. And most of the staff around here call it a sketchbook too. So that's what's going to be on. Are these 2 separate covers? 3 covers?
Yeah, so there's 3 covers, and they can all be pre-ordered now at the Backer Kit pre-store, and that's www.stever.com/2026 SKB. There's 3 different covers to choose from.
A few picky types.
Only the Nexus cover will be distributed out to retailers. Now that we don't have Diamond, we currently don't have a distributor, but once we do, the Nexus cover will be the one out there. The hardcover and the fine art nude Brianna cover are exclusives ordered from us, and we have 1, 2, 3, 4 people that donated $4.99, and hopefully that's not all Tristan.
$4.99, huh? Boy, you guys are conditioned. Let's just call it $5, okay? Blah 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 blah. Anyway, what Janelle said is exactly what I was going to say if I knew more about what I was going to say. So basically, you can still order the sketchbook and the THUNEWORLD hardcover, but you don't get the extras because you guys were late. All the guys that were early, the early Eggbird types, got everything. And there's a lot of extras we throw in there for incentive. I mean, why not, right? It's the same as calling something $19.99 when it's actually $20. But that conditioning, don't forget. Before I get into the main event of the colored ink demo, we've always got Nexus animation to show. Now, you can see from here, this is how folders are given to the animators once they receive the layouts. The layouts are what I've done in here. But actually, much more than most layout artists would do, because it's Nexus, and I want to make sure that no bad in-betweeners can come in and do bad work. So this is what I started off with. You notice a little blue bumps on her body there. That's because I used a marker and it bled through. So don't do that. So we got this. We have a different pose. This is not animation. This is just alternative poses. So it'll make it look like an entirely different thing. And there's a blackline version of her outfit, the one that she's not showing here. So this is kind of like a Sundra mannequin. And this is just, why do I do it like that? It's just common sense. I want to put different uniforms on her. I want to show her different poses. So all these things can substitute for what appears to be an entirely new drawing, but it's not. It's just a clever way of using a reuse. On to the main event. What did I forget here? All right, we're going to get in some weird macabre stuff. Kids under 4, you can't see this right here. So getting back to the faucet painting here, look what goes into it. You tell me what goes into this thing. I can tell you right away that on top of the basic composition and the color setup and the placement of darks and lights, that alone is a serious amount of work. And then you have to validate all the props, the uniform, the boots, this kind of stuff right here, and this firefighting apparatus here. And you're probably going to look at the ground right there. There's all these grates going on. This is extremely precise stuff that this guy does here. In the background, because he wanted to make it look sporadic. Okay, that's the word I was looking for. He put all these weird configurations of plants and leaves and trees back there. I think. Either that or it's smoke burning down the house. But smoke is not green, last I heard. So, the reference. One of the reasons we're going to do this this demo, but not today, is I'm going to adapt it. I'm going to adapt this pose right here to one of these deals right here. The deluxe edition is limited to 500 signed copies. In addition, 10 copies are numbered blah, 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 blah. This is number drawing DR8. So this is, it means it's eighth drawing. And I have 500 more to go.
No, because
Okay, that's all we need to know. So, thank God.
There's only 100 books, but you're only doing 10 sketches.
Oh, what a relief.
Instead of 500 because of the funding. We didn't have enough to do 500 books.
Okay, so we didn't have enough funding. That's up to you guys to do 500 spickle spitting books. Shame. Anyway, because I like you anyway, I'm going to show you what it takes to adapt. Say this was an actual photograph that somebody shot of an actual scene of a fireman in action right here. Well, a lot of times you from photography, that's your scrap or your photo reference. And illustrators find lots of ways to adapt that reference into something else. Now, I've done the line drawing part here, adapted a fireman to Nexus. And Nexus has got some weird spears in his hand. I'm probably going to add some energy coming out from that. But I don't know yet. This is going to be on a tightrope and winging it, which is, for some reason, at the age I'm at right now, in my late 60s, I'm feeling something inside tugging at me to abandon certain things I've done before. And one of them is going in and doing crazy tight compositions. I don't want to do that anymore. Why? I don't know. Let's ask Freud. But in the meantime, what I'm going to be showing you here is the art of painting with colored inks. Now, you don't have to go with this name brand right here. Any ink is good. Any professional ink is good. But when you order the little things like this, you're in trouble. Why? Because unless your Aunt Maud is going to be using this once every 5 years, it's going to be used up fast. And they're almost not worth it. If you're a professional artist, invest in the real thing here. This is, thank God they offer this right here. The other ones don't do that. For shame, for shame, for shame. So, putting this aside right here, as you see me doing right now, I'm going to open up my palette. Wonderful, wonderful. Now we're looking at my colored ink palette. How exciting is that? I would say a lot, but you never know. If you want to clean up the palette, all you got to do is, well, not that way. Block it off, and the ink is going to disappear. It's like disappearing ink. So let's wipe it off. Get our hands really dirty, and we have to wash them after that. What do we got here? So now I'm working with a clean palette, just the way I like it. And you should too. Cleanliness is a great thing. You guys are well aware, after seeing a lot of artists, no doubt, that some of these guys look like, as I like to say, a room where 5 or 6 heavyweight garbage cans were dumped in the middle of the floor. That's the way most artists look when I visit their studios. However, not the dude. No, we are a class act here, and for that very reason, you'll see nothing but cleanliness. These are paper towels I grabbed from downstairs when the people about the house just kind of tossed them in the garbage. Then I go digging through the garbage like a dumpster diver. We can thank God for those divers in the dumpsters, because if the kids hadn't raided the big garbage receptacles that all big offices have, we wouldn't have any existing cells from all those cartoon shows. So how it would work was these kids would come in on their bikes after school. The guard would of course see them, and he'd probably just say to the guard, "Hey, is it okay if we?" And the guard would say, "Yeah, it's okay if you." What does the guard care? They put it in a trash. So it's open game now. So these guys would rescue this stuff. One time I was walking around San Diego show many years back when I attended, and it was still about comics. I came upon a table that had a stack of Johnny Quest sales from the entire freaking show. This is the stuff they got rid of. Once they filmed it, they thought it was worthless. And this is not an uncommon attitude among publishers. And until certain people, I think up into the even 60s and 70s, never got their originals back. You had to ask for them. And if you didn't, they would abuse these original art pages like you wouldn't believe. I'm not even going to go into it. It'll make you cry. And we're too tough to cry in this show. We can do it afterwards, but not during the show. So on this table for sale at the San Diego show, there is a stack of cells like this. Can you guys see that? Can you imagine that? And the guy I was walking around with, when we happened to see it, was Doug Wildey, the guy that created all these cells from Johnny Quest. Unfreaking believable. But you know, when you finally land a high status in the public's eye, and you can walk around with mink coats, fake fur of course, and platform shoes and silk ties and suits, then you're going to be at a point in life where you can do anything you want. People will part like the Red Sea, and you can hang out with the top guys like the dude does. Are you ready? You're ready. Okay, so the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to block in, according to this reference right here, how I see the shadows working. So the face, all that is going to be in shadow. And this is going to have a little rim light. How do I know where I'm going with this? Speak to my agent. He'll tell you, well, it's a billion years of practice. And I'll say, that's right. That's how I did it. And if you guys are averse to practice, woe is your career. And I want to adapt some colors here. So I think, what do I want to do here? I think I'm just going to put a big block of pink back there. And just to give it some sense of perspective. Now, here's another important thing that you guys need to know about. When a guy does something like this right here, he gets out the templates. Fortunately, I brought a few along to show you exactly how it goes. Within reach, of course. Template, and guess what else? A template. These are all things that you use for mechanical objects. And if you really want to rate, you will rely on these things instead of just going a scratchy, bumpy freehand kind of a thing. If you think you can do it, fine. There's no rules that say you can't. This is for straight edges right here. So they call it a straight edge. I call it a triangle. So let's move over here. This is my lighting that I'm going to be using right here. Let's see how I can pull this off here. Okay, so this is the side plane of the thing. Now, where do we want to start? Have you guys thought about that? What? Well, yeah, that's where you're going to start, of course. So I'm going to grab one of these Chinese brushes all the way from China. It was hand-delivered from China. And then I'm going to block in the background things first. And we're going to do that with this pink stuff that he's got going on here. So I have to combine two different colors here to get the pink. And depending on how watered down it is, the lighter the tone is going to show up in color on this thing right here. Where's my handy, there it is. If we get in trouble here and things start to drip, I'm going to run into the bathroom and vomit. But when I get back, I want you guys to still stay with me here, okay? Sometimes when you go for a less than straight edge, like this beveled edge stuff right here, you can actually create more punch than a straight line. A straight line is just a straight line, but if you put some personality to it. Let's see how I can do with this this brush. So we're going to actually start on the figure with black ink. That's how the Robert Fawcett's and Albert Dorn's, who used colored inks almost exclusively, would work with this stuff. And I find it exciting because, like I said, it's kind of like a tightrope walk. And who would want to be in a tightrope? I see the hands go up. So let's punch it in here, combining the alizarin and whatever the hell in red. And that's not pink enough. Okay. We really don't want to use a brush this small. We want to use a bigger brush. So let's be smart here. And since I'm demoing, let's just go in, okay, and use this big flat 3/4 brush right here. Now, this is stuff you guys already know. I shouldn't be demonstrating this because you guys are all masters. But in the event that somebody doesn't know about this, well, here we go. You don't have to stay tuned because you're already tuned. This is going to make it a lot easier right here. Don't use tiny brushes when you can use a bigger one and get it done faster. This is where I tip things around a little bit. And you can use this, this flat brush to get around any corner. Better than that little Chinese brush that was all the way from China. Next time I'll have to order one of these things from China. See? Can you see that? Ooh, excellent. Excellent. And we're going to try to, get a fairly flat wash, as they call it. I should have been using this all along. If you look on YouTube for watercolors, you'll see that the really tough guys out there always use the biggest brush imaginable. And some of them are just freaking huge. And I'll show you what those are in a second here. So I'm trying to even it out. It's going to dry a little funny. Big deal. I just go over it again with something else. But here's some of the brushes that they will use on certain things. This is like a 4-inch. In the interest of accuracy, okay, so it's 3. All right. It's a 3-inch brush. It looks like a 4 to me. Let's just call it a 4. Okay, yeah, that's right. It's a 4. Sometimes guys use this when they're working on a huge, watercolor, cold press watercolor paper that covers the entire size of this desk. That's when they go in with things like this. And most people chicken out for that kind of stuff. Well, here at Rude Dude, we don't chicken out with anything. And I'm sure you guys know that. Go grab a sandwich while I annoy everyone with the sound of a hair dryer. Takes a while, but it's worth it. If you don't do this, you're going to smear your pan with wet ink. Now, in the old days, before these things were around, what are you going to do? Well, I would probably just go out and set this in the sun, and it'll dry all the way. Well, what if it's raining, Steve? What do you do then? Then you're out of luck. Then you can hire some slaves to go like this with a big towel. Okay, so it's nearly there. It looks pretty crappy to me because this kind of paper does not take this stuff well. What we want is good paper. This is not good paper. But endure we shall. I'm currently writing a bunch of new stuff for the introductions for books. We've already put out the Gourmand or the THUNEWORLD 5 individual comics. And maybe you saw these, maybe you didn't. And from there, we did the softcover edition. And I did an intro for that. Now for the hardcover, I'm going to completely redo that. Because we do nothing the way other people would probably do it. And that's why we're unique, and that's why you're tuned in here. Because you too want to be a unique guy too. Okay, the black's going to come in next, right? Because we talked about the black. I'm going to boldly go in. Let's see. I should not go in with black yet. I should go in with and that's not enough. get a bigger brush here. Where's my big brush? Now where's a big brush when you need one? Okay, here's a bigger brush, okay? This is probably an 8 or a 10. So let's water it down a little bit so we don't get perfect black. We get a half tone here, which is half black and half light. A moment of silence. So we can just focus here and concentrate. Right, Flohard? I did an interview with Mike Manley and his friends Jamal and I can't remember the other guy's name, but the first thing they said when we were about to go on was, "Where's the blowhards?"
That was Mike Manley, Jamal,
And who else?
Steve.
Steve. Okay, well I'm big on the name, but so yeah, we all got together and did this this podcast that is universally watched by princes in Egypt and even in the tiniest images in Lower Africa.
Yeah. So Glenn Whitmore says hi,
Oh, Glenn Whitmore.
and somebody else wants to know how long does a brush last?
That's the kind of question I would ask. Their answer is they last as long as they. If you buy a brush with a point on it and you need real precision, as soon as that tip is going haywire and it's not quite there yet, and it's getting to get blunted, that's when you use it for a different purpose. These brushes here have been used many times, and they're blunted. Their tips are blunted, but that's what I want. I don't want to go in there with what?
Super sharp tip.
A super sharp one for this kind of work. Most people, the dude included, like to listen to music when we're doing our thing, but as much as I'd like to show you, and as much as I adore getting into trouble, I'm told that they're going to slap a fine on me and throw me in the slammer if I disobey the rules of YouTube. I'm all for censorship, so I think that's a good policy. Except for me. A guy with the name of the dude should be exempt. And I'm sure you agree. And as you know, I often ask myself, and I still agree, this is black. Well, it's black because the gloves are actually black. So you can get lines like this right here, dry brush kind of things. Look, when you're working on good paper, and this is not good paper, there's pretty much, you can do pretty much anything you want. And if you want to use it as a chisel point, you just press down and you've got a perfect chisel point. And that can cover a lot of ground, as you will see. So Glenn Whitmore is the ace colorist that we hired for good reason to color the books. One of the greatest honors a colorist could ever have, for sure. And I think he was hired because he puts up with me. Now that's not an easy thing to do. Every other colorist winced when they had the idea of a perfectionist dude in their life. I think they all ran for good reason, But Glenn is a mellow kind of a guy. He hangs in there. Goes to church every Sunday, and what I didn't know is he's got many girls after him. For that reason, he goes because he's a church-going guy, and the ladies want to exploit that and see how far they can get with him. So we'll follow up with Glenn the next time we're out here talking, and see how that works, because then they can pass it on to me. Okay, so there's where the blacks are going to go. And again, I'm working from reference that is lit like this right here. The name of this game is adapting reference. And I know one thing I'm going to use for precision. So we're going to move that aside and get one of these skinny brushes right here. This comes to a very fine point. It's a Lowell, no, I wish. It's a King art brush, but you can use anything that's got a fine point to it. So I'm bringing up a fine point to tell you about fine points. Now, let's do some blocking in here. Hello, Hound. We're going to use this. We're going to start with the face. There's some problems that I'm having in here that I'm going to have to fix later. But for the most part, what do I want for the skin tone? Do I want it kind of bright orange, or I don't know. Let's dip it in some black, and that's going to kill some of the orange and kind of tone it down a little bit. So here's how I would do that, and it's done within a matter of seconds, because I know you guys were timing me, so that's how you know. Okay, and the hands. Well, we have to make sure the hands fit in for the lighting scheme. Even if they don't, it's too late. So I'm happy to be doing that. And now I still got the pencil line showing up down there, and I definitely want to take advantage of that. The lightning bolt is yellow, and because it's really it's in the light, bright light from the fire, we're just going to go like this right here. And that's all the main points of the exposed anatomy of our pale Nexus. Now, for the shadow side on the blue parts, guess what I'm going to do? I'm going to mix up a very dull ultramarine blue, and it's going to look something like this. And if it doesn't, I'm in trouble. Flow hard, but when you notice when blowhards go down the stairs, their buttocks, their butts roll. So I call it when she goes down a rotating buttocks. And that's exactly what it looks like. Okay, so here's the coloring part of rotating buttocks. Are you back there? There she is. She must have heard me talking about her. She wants to grab some camera time, that's all. Don't pay any attention to her, okay? It'll go to her head. Hound. Hound's always getting in the act. You know how hounds are. So this is pretty dark stuff right here, and I'm going to flatten it to get a precise stroke coming out of this brush right here. Your brushes are your means to do this stuff, so you kind of don't want to mess around with that stuff. Now the rest of it, okay, I see what's going on here, which is good because I'm the one doing it. Getting back to Glenn Whitmore and the fact that he's surrounded by women. I mean, they're just literally punching his door down, sometimes with a battering ram, just to get to the guy. And if you saw how handsome Glenn is, you'd see why. Now this is going to be where the light is hitting the light side. That's what it's called. The light hitting the light side. Imagine that. So we want it to be light, so the only way you can do that with any kind of water medium like this is to water it down. That also goes for watercolor and dyes or whatever else you're using here, okay? So let's give it a shot here. Another thing that guys have been asking about, truly asking about, is when I'm going to bring back the moth. Well, here's the good news. I have a story that I'm really excited about. It's kind of based on the crazy stuff going on in the world today, having to do with cryptids. And I don't necessarily say any more about that because you guys know what it means. I'm trying. Hopefully, the ink is already kind of solidifying here, like most water things, and I'm able to go over this stuff without making bleeds from the wet layer below. So let's we got to fill everything in naturally, and I'm going to put I don't know if it's a half tone. I hear a lot of toenails clicking on the floor. Oh, that's hound dog. Of course, we have 3 blowhards and they all make the same sound. So you learn to tell them apart quite easily with time. All right. All right. I'm going to dull this stuff down just a little bit more because it's part of the black area. And actually a lot of this is from the black area. This is not black. This is black. And all of this down here is black. I suggest we use black. That's just a suggestion, however. So here comes the back of the head. This is all a black area right here. The mask is all black. Like a serious kind of black where it's so black you don't want to mess with it. And to get some soft edges, if the thing is still wet, like this one is here, you can manipulate things. I'm going to pick up this a little bit more, and now that it's even wetter, I'm going to count on that to give me some what? Some nice fuzzy areas. Because what we do here is warm and fuzzy. Fuzzy wuzzy. I'm told he was a bear. But you never know. With all the cryptids running around these days, it could be anything. That's kind of what the moth story is going to be about, is these crazy things that are caught in cameras on, what do they call them? You know, the kind you hook up on a tree, right? The, God, I hate this.
Oh.
And that would be?
Trail cams.
Trail cams, of course. Right? You guys knew that. This is black, so I'm going to kind of give that the black treatment right here. This paper is very non-absorbent. So we're doing everything we can to make it really bad. What are you blowhards doing over there? I actually predict within a year from now that everyone is going to be calling them blowhards, which I think is fine. I mean, aren't you sick of calling them their real names? I know I am. So this paper right here does not absorb like good watercolor paper will. In fact, if I demonstrate it, you'll see exactly what I'm talking about. This is good Arches watercolor paper right here, okay? So let's see how these blends work when the surface is wet compared to this stuff right here. So let's grab some stuff right here. This is known as stuff, so I'm accurate with that. And look how it wonderfully bleeds into the thing right there. Now, can you get any better than that? No, you can't. And that's because the paper's good. It's meant to take on water. See that? Whoa! You guys are going to want to go out and order this right away, I'm sure. Here's blowhard. Get out of there. Damn blowhards. This is a really big brush right here. These stupid animals. And boy, this paper is so crappy that I almost want to start again on paper that, but I didn't know it was going to be this bad. No, I didn't. Now these things, I'm just going to make them gray. So I'm just going to take pure black and a little bit of orange to warm it up a little bit, and that's going to be my color for the spears he's holding here. But it's mostly black, okay? Let's go cool. Let's cool it off here because we're cool. Whip it. You get out of the way, right? Okay, so more black. I want to make it more neutral. So there, I'm going to go with that. Okay. Now to do these things, everyone in the world knows this trick. and use a ruler. Some people call them onions, but they're really scallions. Ever heard that one? Well, never mind then. Let's tip it like this because I'm going to have access to this straight line right here a lot easier if I tip it. Isn't that a political guy? Tip it. Oh, that was back in the JFK assassins. Whoa. Tip it. Officer Tippett. Look at the recall I have when I need it. That's marvelous. Oh, thank you, Steve. You're welcome. So we've got those intact right there. It's funny because when you do this and do this and do this all the time, something's got to happen, right? The answer is yes. I've been telling you about some of the problems I've been having with my illustration work. And the trouble comes in when I have to repaint things over and over. Because I don't work like really, whatever the word is, proper procedure, where you do the background in, get every detail right, and then go to things in the foreground more, and then finally if the guys are in the foreground, you paint those last. Well, that doesn't work with me. What you want to do is go all over the place, establish everything right with colors and everything, and then worry about that kind of stuff. Well, that's a great idea, but it gets me into a lot of trouble. Oh, this paper's so bad. But we're not complaining, are we? Yes, we are. Back to Flashy Glenn Whitmore here. Glenn was voted Churchgoer of the Year for 10 straight years in a row, and that was when he was working for DC Comics. So you can see the parallels there. Okay, so this surface is still wet, so I can get away with blending it. Now, the other thing about wash, as they call it, as I happen to call it, it dries a little lighter. Every paint that is broken down with water, it dries a little lighter. That goes for watercolor. It works. It's true for dyes and colored inks that I'm working with here. I'm going to grab this sissy brush right here. Can I use it? No, I think it's too blunted. A blunt brush is a blunt brush. Now this is a good brush because it still has this little tiny point right there. So I'm going to go in there with the tightest of care to show that I care. And I'm going to add some things right here. That hopefully are going to make it come alive. And if it doesn't, it was dead to begin with. I'm going to, I don't have to do this right here, the half tones. It really isn't necessary, but it's because I like the way they look. I think I'm going to put some of these in here. The way to go with this kind of water media is a combination of the two things. If you go to art school, you're going to be hearing this over and over by the good teachers out there, and you're going to hear use the biggest brush you can to pull this off. And then what are you also going to hear? You're going to hear oh, I forgot. I haven't been to art school in a while. But if I figure it out, I'll let you know. So the only way to smooth this out really is with light opaque paint, and that's what we call gouache. That's watercolor plus chalk to give it some body. And we're going to, I think we're going to go with just some Prismacolors and see what we can do with that. That'll smooth it out, we hope. So this is where you need the precision from right here. And now there's little embellishments on these toys right here, or these spears, I mean, that are done very poorly by me. Let's pretend I'm having a bad day. Okay, that's good. So there's the darker part. Let's get out the straight edge, the ruler again. And we've got the little bumpy things right here, so you can grab onto it better. And we have to raise the surface a little bit because it's fitting over the main diameter of the spear. Yeah. Now I'm not Mr. Tech, but in the meantime, that's no excuse for not trying. So we're going to keep trying right here, and I'm going to put the darker side, because if it's just flat, it's either in certain kind of lighting that makes it flat, or if it comes back to me, I'll let you know. Even things in the dark have you can detect a shadow light kind of a pattern, because think about it. If your eyes adjust to the dark, you're not going to see a flat thing like a piece of cutout paper. That's flat. This stuff has dimension, so you gotta remember to give it even the slightest darker part near the bottom or the top, or however way the light's going. Okay, so we need some work on that stuff, but I'm an artist, not an architect. Oh, I can add something there. Now that I've seen it. See the tip of this brush? It's super, And that's his teeth down there, I'm told by the artist. That's me. And when this dries, oh, what do I have here? I have some kind of a weird ass thing going on there. I think it's, do I dare? Well, what color do I want to use there? Do I want to be crazy and get a job? Remember that commercial? I had to be a show-off and get a job at the Tootsie Roll factory. Now, I know all of you remember that. It goes back to the 50s. So that's how I know you all remember it. We're going to take some of this cerulean color right here. Let's just go for it. I mean, what do we care, right? We're here to experiment and be bold and restless. So let's try this right here. I'm going to put another bar right here. Clever, huh? And I hope that's going to work, because we're counting on it, and if it doesn't, I'm going to blame you guys. What other celebrities do we have tuning in besides Glenn Whitmore? Has Brad Pitt tuned in yet? Hon, that you know of? What about, well, Tom Selleck's getting a little old, so I don't care about him. Tom Cruise, he's too Scientologist. And that leaves who exactly? Well, let me think on that. But yes, indeed, the audience that tunes into this show is clearly made up of elites. Elites are people that laugh at people with a lower class, and I'm all for it. I don't like the way that looks. Too late. So there you go. That's what it's going to look like. Now, if I want to leave it looking like it was hand done on crappy paper, I'll just leave it like that. If I want to smooth it out, smooth out the roughness of the non-absorbency of the paint, well, then I'll have to smooth it out somehow. You remember this commercial? Hi, this is Gail Sayers for whatever it is. Well, now when I get an attack, it's bad news. So he grabs one of these inhalers. Yeah. You guys remember that? Okay, I think I know what to do here just to make up for the bad decision here. We'll just find out. See, there's no such thing as a hopeless painting. But if you want to think of it as hopeless, that's fine too. No one's going to stop you. Oh, where's my female fan? Is she out there?
Yeah.
Oh! The girl with the dirty blonde hair and mousy looking. Yeah. See, my memory is very good. So let's hear from this girl. Oh, she's an illustrator, right? Correct. Correcto. Right, Gino?
From what I remember, yeah.
Oh, see, these guys have no personalities here. Some of the staff. They're relying to up the popularity and status level of this show right here, and that's fine. I don't care. Okay, well, I suppose we have to go all the way. And this is going to be an orange, okay, a light orange. I'm going to put a lot of yellow into it. I remember yellow because the sillies used to say yellow. Not jello, yellow, the color. So we're going to put that up here because we don't care if we ruin it. Ruined or great, we still charge the same for it, so it doesn't matter. So that's how you do that. There's a lot of different things you can get that do the same thing as this ruler right here. We all use the straight line stuff for mechanical stuff. And if you don't, that's fine too. You can sometimes certain guys in comics will draw it with precision and tools, and then when they go to ink it, they will just ink it freehand without the tools used to give it that organic look. So there you have it. Who wants to go for smooth? I have a friend that's called Smooth, for obvious reasons. So let's dip this Chinese brush into. We're gonna layer it. Okay, we're gonna go in here and make it a little darker. And it'll get dark depending on how much I water down or don't water down the wash here. And I'm doing this because I want to centralize Nexus more. Dark is where people keep their eyes from. They don't look at the dark. They look to the light. So we want to look to the light in our work. So all right, I'm going to keep going. You guys asked for it. So I added some ultramarine blue. That's only if you are familiar with ultramarine. That's a rock, I think. Ultramarine is a rock. Oh, conscious little worm. Well, it's bound to happen, and then you get the white out or the eraser out and try to do something with that. It's not something I've done unless it's got drips in it, and then a few fingerprints. And I know you guys want it really clean, but unless you hire somebody to make it clean next to me here and catch all the drips, there might be a problem here. Why do things drip? Because they're slanted. That's why. So if we want a reversed drip, we can do that. Okay. Time to grab a sandwich and a root beer and be back in here in 2 minutes. Let's take a vote. Should I leave it as it is, or should we go in there and smooth it out a little bit? Let's hear it. Smooth or not smooth? Done. Okay, you're back from your sandwich and root beer? Okay, good. So, we're going to wait for the tally to come in. Smooth or not smooth? If it's not smooth, I'll leave it the way it is. If it is smooth, then I'll have to smooth it out somehow. Remember, this is permanent. Colored inks are permanent. They stay where they are. But that's kind of why they're fun. People like them because you can layer, assuming you've got lighter washes and it needs to be darker in a certain space, certain spot. Then you can keep going over it because the bottom layer is dry. Watercolor is always going to be wet if you introduce water to it. It's going to that's what lifting is all about. And every watercolorist you and I know always does a little bit of lifting. When something's wrong, you just kind of go in there with a brush and soak up kind of the offending area. Are we done yet? All right, a little bit more. Go back to your line. I think I'm going to go in with some color pencil, but it has to really dry first. Some Prismacolor. Feels dry to me. So let's put this aside. Let's cap it.
Your comments?
Yeah.
Okay, well, before that, Landon Huber said, "Hey dude, how's it going? I gave you a little shout out in my live stream today about that Superman fighting the robots piece you did a couple years ago. There was a variant cover for Superman #3. And then for the smooth or not smooth, we have, looks like most of the votes are for not smooth, but there's only, and leave it as it is. It's gorgeous as it is."
Well, that's kind of nice to hear. That means they're going for the raw look. Kind of like the vegetables we try to eat nowadays. Well, I'm inclined to want to smooth it out. But we're not going to do that. You guys voted. Unless we get a few more people voting in to overwhelm you rough guys. We're going to leave it as is.
That Superman fighting the robots piece that you did for DC. Landon wants to know if it was done in gouache.
Who?
Landon.
Landon?
Yeah.
Who's that?
It's the guy that asked the question.
Oh, I was just wondering.
He said he gave you a shout out on his live stream about that piece that you did.
Cool. Now, what was the question? Oh, gouache? Was it done in gouache?
Yeah, was it done in gouache?
Yeah. I should go grab the damn cover. Let's go grab the damn cover. Oh, you do? Where is it? Yeah, that's it. That was the last cover I did for DC, I think, before they wouldn't raise my page rate. That was done in a combination of transparent watercolor and with opaque areas. You'll know when you work on a piece what is going to need what is going to stay what it is. I did add a lot of Prismacolor over the thin washes of watercolor. And I'll show you the idea of what this is supposed to be about right here. Me being prepared for every contingency, and because I always keep my feathers numbered for such an emergency. Do we dare? No, that's too rough. We don't dare. But by God, we're going to find it. Okay, this is, there's got to be something good in here because it's got this edge like that. But we'll find out. We don't take anyone's word for anything unless we try it out. The first thing I'm going to do is change the water. And I'll be right back. Lunch, root beer. You guys know the drill. I'm washing away, removing staff, and having fun. And as far as I can see, I didn't stain anything as far as the bowl goes. It's made of glass, thick glass. You kind of want that. And if you're really smart like me, you actually put this water with barely a 1/4 inch below the top of the rim here. And that's because in the school I was in, you were taught just to be able to dip it in the slightest amount and get just the right thing. So let's do we want to see me draw something else? Draw something else to demonstrate this. First we'll see if the paper's good, okay? You guys? How do you like that? Well, who knows? Maybe you do, maybe you don't. Let's grab the watercolor palette. As you can see, it's been used for many, many years. It's a John Pike palette. John Pike was a fisherman who was really into pikes. let's start with cleaning this off right here. This is what palettes look like in the real world. And we live in the real world temporarily. When it gets too bad, we retreat. But in the meantime, this paint right here, watercolor, is oh no, I got rid of some of my cerulean. I put it on the side. I see I wasn't prepared. You know, Boy Scouts are supposed to be prepared, and I wasn't. So I paid the price for it. And you would too, if you were as dumb as I was. Yeah. I don't like making mistakes. I think I'm less of a man. Well, that's what I tell myself. But I still go back to being the same man when I wake up in the morning. Now this stuff, this is something I want to replace right here. This is for sale for $2. So let's bring another one up. Look at that. It's on the back of a Xerox of a Norman Rockwell Circus picture. Now you talk about research. You talk about obsession with every little thing that goes into a painting. For one thing, it's authentic. Every costume here was taken from either guys dressed up in a costume shop or going to a circus. Honestly, I would go to a circus because it sounds like more fun. So how are you guys doing out there? Do we have any people from Iceland writing in? My favorite spot in the world here. Never been there, but I hear it's cold and it's pretty hot here, so I can see the appeal. We tape it up, remove staff, and have fun. This is not good tape. Can you tell? Oh, it's just a disgusting world, isn't it? Okay, so let's move this stuff. This isn't even good paper. This is comic book board. So let's do a little deal here, okay? Let's see if I can do a little invention here. First, we wet down our watercolors. Actually, it's actually washed, but it's the same thing. When you water it down, same damn thing. I can't tell any difference, and that's why I just started using it. It's a little less expensive than watercolor tubes, so that's always a plus.
So we got a couple comments.
Yeah.
So someone, Jason Garza 3383 says, just wanted to say that Battle for THUNEWORLD was my first Kickstarter I've ever backed after recently starting to read Nexus. Thanks for the opportunity to enjoy great art.
So what did you see, the comic book version or the soft cover?
No, so I think he just backed the artist edition.
Oh, really?
He didn't say which one he backed. He just said Battle for THUNEWORLD.
Oh, I'm all for backing what you back.
Yeah, and I'm not sure who this is. Their handle is Comic Fan Who Walks. Says, dude, I wanted to shout out to your crew. I am a member of your team, and you have the coolest daughter and wife.
That would be true. No argument there. So with this, what are we going to do here? We'll remove this for one thing.
Creative Faye said, yes, circus would be fun. I did a research project on Icelandic design.
Well, that covers both of the things I'm most interested in. Isn't that remarkable? There might be some kind of telepathic link going on here.
Yeah,
so check out the telepathic link below.
And Jason wrote back and said he backed the artist edition hardcover that we recently ran.
Oh, well, that's a class act. So let's invent something here. Your ability to invent is strictly up to how much you practice. I kind of wanted to be good, so I decided practicing was a good thing. So let's hear the real name for dogs. Blow hard, blow hard. Now, where did the name come from? Well, I'm glad you asked. I used to have a dog named Ram. And Ram was a beagle, just like Flowhard here, that you've all seen by now. And Ram, she would go out when the bus showed up and dropping off the little kids, and she would start barking because beagles bark, right? But then she did something really stupid. She turned around and looked at me like she needed my approval. I said, "Oh, that's a blowhard if I ever saw one." So there you go. You guys happy now? Of course you are. Creative Faye, huh? Can I call myself Creative Dude? I mean, I'm creative. I'm going to steal the name. So this is, we're trying to get Superman's nose down. Now, I got to tell you, I had a hard time with noses. Even when I went to nose classes. I spent a year at the Slade School in London working on noses for 10 hours a day. But I still didn't learn it, so I don't understand that. Da, 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 da. So you see what I'm doing there? I'm getting the torso intact first. And this is a round object. It kind of looks like this. And let's add a fist. Now this is kind of weird, but I want to show you what I'm doing here. I'm showing you where I want the hand to end up right away before the arm comes in. And then I'm going to add the arm as it would be if this fist came out to this amount right here. You guys with me? Of course you are. Oh, there's a dick. Now I never used to call them dicks. And it has nothing to do with the male organ. Nothing whatsoever to do with it. That's obscene. I don't do that kind of stuff. Ever hear the phrase, "There isn't dick going on here"? Of course you do. Well, that means nothing, right? So dicks, cats, are good for nothing. But I didn't always call them that. There was cats next door that were owned by the Roses. So I call them Roses cats. But then I wised up and thought of a better name, and it's going to be Dick for the duration here. So let's see. We're going to more watercolor. Sorry, that's why we're going to demonstrate some watercolor stuff here. Let's get tricky here, okay? We'll just lightly mist it, and then, hey, what are you doing there? Oh, see, what did it do? This is a lesson to be learned here. It folded. So I have to go like this or tape it down. It's like watching paint dry, which you'll see in a second, actually. Okay, so let's see how it holds up here. So I'm going to use a lighting scheme that I can see in my head because of all the practice I've done. Do I want to backlight him, or let's backlight him? I don't do that enough, and I think we can all learn more if it is backlit. So I'm going to take some blue and some red and get this kind of a grayish color. But I'm going to emphasize the red a little bit more. So it's what you would call warmer. I just call it more red, right? So when I get the right what do you call it? The right mixture. Yeah, thank you, Steve. You're welcome, Steve. The right mixture of the wash that I want this thing to look like. This is my blunt brush, to be blunt about it. And this looks like it's taken the water pretty good right here. So this is not an inferior version of what is normally considered top quality watercolor paper. Brow ridge, cheeks. This is going on okay. It's nothing I'm going to write Mom about, though. And the ear, let's warm up the ear a little bit more, okay? I'm glad you approve. So there it is. And the neck, you thought I was going to forget the neck, didn't you? No. The neck is going to go like this. So there's that sternomastoid thing right there. I spent an entire summer learning anatomy and the terms that go with it. Now this is, I'm going to come in here with just a wet brush and soften it. And if I want to go like this, well, this brush isn't stiff enough. I need a stiff brush, and that would be lifting. So let's go around to the other parts. Let's just use black and alizarin here, okay? It comes out to the same thing, as you can see right here. So let's see. How do I fake this hand right here and make it look like it's not faked? Well, I happen to have a storehouse of knowledge from all these years of doing stuff. That is the official term that I hope you guys will also use, because that's really what it is. And is that it for so I look at it now, and I think about what kind of lighting is going to go on the side here. I'm going to use orange and yellow. All right, is that okay with you guys? You don't mind? Good. Let's just block it in. Now I could have gone in with the yellow first. This is something you work out, not at the gym. It's something you work out from a lot of practice and a lot of experience, telling you where to go with some kind of stuff. It's either or. It doesn't matter. You work to your preference, and if you don't have a preference, then you need to work at it more. So it becomes a second nature kind of a thing. Now this is drying very strong in the paper right here. Let's see, how does it go? Dun, dun, dun. It'll help if I sing the song, all right? So no charge. Dun, 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 dun. Dun, 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 dun. Dun, 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 dun. Boy, Chris Reeve is so good. Wherever he is now, I hope he's flying high. He's got wings now, I would imagine, so he can do that easily without wires. Hell of a movie. The movies got worse as they went on, though, to me. And because you guys all agree with me, you know exactly what I'm talking about here. The cape. I'm going to go with the light version of the cape first, okay? I'm going to water this down until I get a very light red. And this could be the light side, literally where the light's hitting it, because it's so light. Now, if I don't like the way it looks, as I progress here, then I'm going to change it. You see, guys, it just takes, just think about this. Is 40 years too much to ask for practice? You can do that in a day. So this, okay, I know what to do here. This is see-through stuff, right? Yeah, I'm glad I thought of that. You're welcome, Steve. So see-through stuff is extremely bright. It's pure color. I'm going to talk to you about the show, the Nexus show right here. I don't know where this is going to end up. The world has basically ignored this project, but I am nothing if not utterly indomitable. I mean, nobody can stop me from doing what I'm going to do, which is hard for people that give in. I don't think they quite understand it. Now, the rest of this year, this is all backlit right there, okay? But you knew that. Do we have any more questions? How do you like that? I tell you. Where's loyalty when you want it? So I'm not going to leave it that light. It can be that light if the light is really strong, okay? See what I mean about friends? The older you get, the less friends you seem to hang on to. Not good. It's not very nice to abandon people as prominent as the dude. And you'll pay for it in an afterlife. But in the meantime, I'm going to water this down really, really washy right here, so I don't commit myself to anything that's permanent. So this is going to give me a taste of where I'm going here. This is all going to be dark. This is all going to be dark, and I know this is going to be dark. How do I know that? You guys know the answer to that by now. Okay, I'm just going to invent something here that I think will work. Now we know that this is going to be dark. Some guys put a lot of dark blue into Superman's blue parts. And that's just to tone down the saturation level to make it look like it belongs in the real world a little more. Alex Ross does this all the time. Now that's not quite dark enough, so let's push it. Push it, baby. Now this is still wet. This is the wrong size brush. It's way too small. Let's get a big Manly brush right here. That was, I got that term from Mike Manley, so I hope he doesn't mind if I'm borrowing it. I hear you blowhards. I can hear your toenails across the linoleum here. So yeah, blowhards and dicks, I think that's the word, 2 words to completely convert to for the rest of the nation at large. I'm all for it. I think you guys are too, so let's give it a shot. Let's go, let's make this really thick right here, okay? Because I know I'm going to want strong dark colors here. So I'm mixing up more paint. I'm going to water it down a little less. And what is that phrase I always use? Removing staff and having fun. Because we all want to have fun. Oh, this needs to be dried here. I'm not going to fall for that trick again. I'm not going to let my hand get into wet paint. So this will be a first. An absolute first. Good enough. Okay, so we're back to this right here. So this is too light. I want to have some drama, so it comes from a dark environment. Oh, this is a blunt, a king art brush right here. All right, we're not screwing it up. We're not getting our hands in the watercolor here. People use like when they're doing contests and they want to sound like they've got a lot of snob appeal. They'll say it's watercolor when it's not. It could be watered down gouache or whatever, the kind of stuff I'm using here. A couple folds to keep things honest. And by the way, I've learned recently kind of a cool idea that that the top watercolorist guys use. They and this is important to, when you're being trained in art. You don't want to do every step at once at the same time. You can do that. That's perfectly fine for people that really know what they're doing. For guys like you and me that are still struggling, they think of watercolor as being done in 3 steps. This is the first step right here, light washes. This is kind of setting the stage, right? This is going to be blended into it entirely. The shadow is the same dark blue, so I'm not going to worry about it. I'm just going to block it in, okay? You can see that our A staff has adjusted to the different viewing angle of the masterpiece certainly going on. And this is, I think I'm going to give that a little bit of a dark. I mean, you got to decide for, at some point. So the darkness being layered is going on exactly as dark as I want it to. And then a minute before. Now, if I want to separate this, I can just use probably some bounce light into the bottom of the arm there, and that wouldn't be hard. There you go, blow hard. Right. let's do the belt, shall we? Glad you agree. Here's the belt. You need something to hold your pants up, so that's what I suggest here. Either that or suspenders. I don't care which one you use.
We are an hour and 25 minutes.
You hear that, guys? Who's hanging in there with me? Because if you're not, there's serious demerits from the spy cameras I've installed all over the U.S., so I'll know exactly who you are. Or trail cameras. That too. So this is going to go so far before the transparent areas come in a little more. My energy level is looking good today, which it normally isn't. As the Rude Dude crew attempts to adjust for the finality of this picture right here. So we're going to add black and red, and that's going to give me a dark red. And that's what it's going to look like. I think I'm going to leave this little tip right here in the light. When people try to copy Frazetta without real knowledge, this is why it fails. You can't fake knowledge, and you can't substitute for it if it's not there. It's either there or it's not. So you spend the entire duration of your mortal existence. These are red, right? Trunks are red. I knew that. No, I don't need any help. I got it. And this is how I'm going to play that. We are all players on a stage. Now that's too bright. That wouldn't be like that in the shadow. So let's get some more black and make it look like it actually comes in a shadow. Now there's a lot of guys that can pull this off, and it will look very light in the shadows. That's because, wait for it. That's because there must be a lot of reflected light in the room. Either that, or you're just using artistic license to do what you need to do to make the picture better. So we're going to get to the face eventually. I'm just saving that for last. But in the meantime, we're going to add our messed up cerulean blue over here, which I rarely use actually. And I want that to be pretty, kind of a pure color. And depending on how much water I use, it's going to be light or it's going to be dark. And if I want to make it darker, what do? We go to step 2 in layering this stuff. Now you're probably wondering, Steve, if there's step 1 and step 2, what's step 3? Well, step 3 is when you get into details. You're going to do little refinements here and there, okay? But that doesn't come till the end. Now, some of you guys are impatient. I can understand that. Doesn't mean you can get away with it without being penalized, but it is best to do these things the way I'm showing it here, because you can control stuff better. You see that dark it is headed right there? Now there's a sense of reflect going into there. There are dark areas, there are light areas on everything here. And I'm going to use this right here to fill in the dark spots. So this is how I'm getting my darkest of the darks, but just enough of the darkest of the darks. Oh, that would make a good TV show. The darkest of the darks. Oh, how about the darkest of the dorks? I think that would work too. We're going to let this go upside down, like the Diana Ross song. And we're going to watch it dry real fast. This isn't correct. We all know that around here we don't tolerate things that are incorrect. one of the ways to get people going that are not inclined to get started because they're scared or whatever, whatever psychological problem they have that makes them what they are. What they used to do in the 30s and 40s, especially the 40s, was they worked in what they call bullpens, and that means the entire group, the entire crew, would be in a centralized area, and that the reason for that is a really good reason. It's mostly to keep everyone on track when they're getting off. When they're home, if they're not disciplined, they could be goofing off to the high heavens, as far as I know. So you kind of don't want to. You have to monitor people, because you know what I think about adults. They're just chronologically older children. That's kind of how I see it. And of course, I'm always right, so there's no problem there. Now you see that what seemed dark, and remember, it dries lighter. So let's just go in here and get that same color and layer it. Now you don't have to do layering. If you want to just go in there with your darks first, there's nothing wrong with that. But this is kind of a way to keep things honest here. All right. I'm glad you guys are hanging in there with me. Otherwise, I'd be talking to myself. So, the ear. We're going to put in the ear areas that light does not transmit through. So all of that stuff I'm going to save for a much brighter color. In the meantime, check it out. It may look drastically different to you guys, but to one is a study, just the dude, is something doesn't exist. Yeah, we got the nose plane right, all through layering. We also do this thing called lifting, which I've already brought up to you guys. And that is if you've done something that you don't want, that you made a mistake in, or you want it to be lighter or whatever, you lift. Lift and separate. Just think about the bra commercial from the 70s and you'll be fine. So there you go. Now I'm going to smooth a few edges out here. So I'm going to take what I call a halftone color, which is reaching into the light. Playing in the shadows. And I'm gonna. This is not a flat thing, even in the light. It's got dimension to it, and to add dimension, you need a sense of turning form. And in this case, we do it with shadows. The flesh gets a little smoother here. It stays very hard there. And I just blocked in the ear. So my half tone, which is half a tone, it's kind of in between the darkness of the face here, and it actually belongs in the light, so I'm told. Now, what about the hair? Actually, what about the this area? This just wasn't dark enough here. So that's how I deal with it. Now, there could be a lot of reflect light coming into the head, and that usually is bouncing from the opposite direction. If there's a floor or a sidewalk, believe me, you're going to see some light coming in here, and it's going to be strong light. It's not going to be weak light. It's going to be very intense colors. So as far as his hair goes, let's give it a shot here, okay? See, I'm using this big, thick brush, but it's also got a sense of something. Hey, I'm working. Right. Yes, I am. She did it the way that's right for her. Okay, so, all right, just growing his hair out a little bit. You know, no big one. Don't write Mom or DC. You know, it's you know, people are so stupid. And there was a time when the policy was he has to look exactly like the Kurt Swan version. And that's why the Kirby Supermans were always heavily redone by different artists of inferior abilities. Now that really pissed me off, and as it should. So there's the pattern right there of what we're looking for. So we just need a couple of refinements here. We're not in stage 3 yet. We're just not. But we will be. And if I get tired, like in a minute from now, I'll sign off because I don't know who's actually tuned in at this point. So I want to know who's tuned in, and if you want to keep it going. Because if you do, I keep it going. Tough, huh?
We got a comment from Landon again.
Yeah.
He said, "Rude. Take a drink of sparkling drop of Schwuppa-vescence if you ever need energy."
That sparkling drop of Schwuppa-vescence. Well, that's good advice. Good thing Landon's around to give it. Now this is going to be a turning thing, and even though when you're in sunlight, it's a very sharp divide between light and shadow. You want to keep these to an absolute minimum here. It took me a long time to figure that out. I was doing way too much blending here, and it wasn't turning out accurate. These are dark, so that's part of the layering process here. That sparkling drop of Schwuppa-vescence. I know you guys are all old enough to remember that, so I'm glad you remember that. This can be this area right here. Oh, we're running out of blue here. It can be a little softer because I just know there's a bony thing up here from the shoulder blade. So this can be a little softer down here. The arm, you know, what the hell. Sometimes we just do things for what I call, and I've told you guys about, is artistic reasons. If you want to exaggerate color, that's what we call exaggerated color. I'm going to add a little bit of orange to this, and I'm going to knock it down to the right denseness and all that stuff.
We got 9 comments saying to keep going and that they're still watching.
Oh, good. That's great. These are the hardcores here that we really want to reward by. Well, let's just say if you give me the address, there's a 6-pack of gourmet root beer on its way directly to your house. And you can experience that in the privacy of your own home. Oh yeah, you guys can send it to me too. It works both ways. The see-through light is not quite. This is a fold right here that kind of blocks the see-through quotient. They just made that up. You're allowed to use it without being penalized or not giving me royalties. So it's we smoothed it out a little bit. All this stuff is based on what I observe. Artists, oh, that's a little too dark. So I'll just water it down. See, no problem. No problema. I made that phrase up, as I think most of you know. So yeah, the things are sharp here, but I just feel like I need a few more of these half-tone things. Now this is very firm right there, so I'm not going to mess with that. I think I'm going to add a little bit of a shadow coming off the ear. These are things that I've observed. So if I've observed it and absorbed it, like what was that stuff? Absorbing Junior.
Glenn says, "Don't forget the belt loops."
Can you believe that? My colorist thought I was going to forget the belt loops. This is highly improbable. But that's coming from a guy that's busy with women all the time. I can't blame him. I would do the same thing, but I got princess, and that's enough for me. That should be a song, I think. My color is telling me I'm afraid to go. There will be hell to pay for that. A little smoothing out, a little this, a little that. One thing I do with Superman, because he's human, is I add a little bit of a pinch of fat there. So even the strongest guys, unless you're a skeleton, you're gonna display some kind of a even if you're a 5%er for body.
So somebody wrote in and asked, would you ever glaze a drawing like this with oils?
After using watercolor? No. What?
Yes.
No, because glazing can be done perfectly with this same medium right here. Glazing is nothing but going over something and making it the right color or whatever. The old masters, those guys, we've heard of them. They would, and you guys all know this, my audience knows everything, so I don't know why I'm bothering. But they would do black and white paintings in thin oil paint. They let it dry, and then the color begins. And they simply glaze colors over it. Glazes are nothing more than really thin paint that doesn't have white in it. Because you can't get intense colors when you add white. White is a cooler. White cools things down. Yeah, I know you guys know that, but I'm just telling you. How many friends do I really got? How many friends do I really got? Every day I'm becoming more aware of I think they call it mortality. And that means we're all going to be dead someday. But then you guys knew that. It kind of bothers me, the idea that I'm going to be dead someday. I try not to think about it, but it's like trying not to think about the letter 4. So I'm thinking about it all the time. But when I'm not thinking about it, I'm all happy. I have my cereal, I have my yogurt, and things are going good. So you can see the more I darken that right there, you can see the first layer. The first layer of the other two. First layer, second layer, third layer. Third layer is his detail.
Someone else is asking, what is your favorite medium to work with?
Oh, that's like asking me what my favorite pencil is. I don't have a favorite. I like using whatever challenges me, and since that's everything from oil paint to acrylic to pastel, I use them all. Look at it, guys. Look at it like this. It's a huge playground when you're an artist. Why would you want to limit yourself to some? Don Bluth is an animator. He just wants to work in pencil forever. No thanks. I'm not wired like that. I'm always wired, but I'm not wired like that. Okay, so you see that? I just lifted something right there. Lift and separate. And I have my arm down there. I want to tell you about a really cool incident that happened recently. We had a small in the garage that was trapped. You divide birds by 3 categories: small, medium, and big. This was a small, and the Rude Dude staff fortunately came running to me in virtual panic and saying, "There's a small in the garage. It won't go out." So naturally, I put on my the proper gloves for dealing with a small, and I went out and rescued it. But that's that is my Boy Scout training, you guys. So that should not be a surprise to anybody. We can put a few strands in here to show the direction of the hair. Oh, so you can see how this is working out here, layer after layer. Now I'm going to block in the eyes because if I don't do that, I'm going to get stoned, and I don't want to get let that happen again. So let's get it down to the right consistency. And now this is all about the use of darks within darks. Because if it wasn't in there, it would be kind of flat. And sometimes that's exactly what it is. It's flat, like a piece of paper. If you curl the paper around to the other end, what you're getting now is dimension. And artists that are realists want to add dimension. And you add dimension by putting in tones, like medium, light, and darker, right? So that's why most of our lessons, most of our teaching is done through steps, as to not overwhelm the student.
Yeah. Someone's asking, what's your favorite comic or run of comics you've illustrated in the past outside of Nexus?
Oh boy, these are tough ones, huh? I'm waiting for someone to say, what pencil do you use? So let's hear it. What pencil do I use? I don't know. It just is a pencil. It's a pencil. About favorite comics, son, of mine?
That you illustrated outside of Nexus.
Oh, well, you're asking a mother what child she prefers. I like all of them. I can tell you that I've never done work that I wasn't proud of. That's a big deal. Now you notice this yellow is really kind of too light for the area, so I can add some black. That's going to make it a little on the cool side. So I'm going to bring a little bit of red into there. And this is probably the right color right here until we hit
Someone wants to know, what's your thought on the Gold Key cover artist George Wilson?
Yeah, George Wilson. Well, George Wilson was far better than people realize. He was also very lucky because at the time he started to do the covers for Western and Gold Key, a lot of illustrators were out of work. They were moving to photography, and of course that's the way it goes in life. Constant changes, and like people say, "Are you bothered about AI, Steve?" No, I don't give a damn about it. AI is going to do what it's going to do, and I don't care. It doesn't affect me. If it takes over a lot of people's jobs, fine. That's their call. But it doesn't interfere with what I'm doing right here. I'm free to do exactly what I want with my life and my art. So naturally, that besides making me the dude, what in God's name? It's the kid. Should we talk to the kid? Hi, kid. It's the dude. You are in a live stream right now. Let's put the kid on speaker right here and say hi to the kid. This is Carol, and she's somebody who was actually the first kid of many, but she is the actual first. And she's calling right now to tell me that I've aged very well, and that she's coming over to take paint lessons. So what else do you want to add to that, kid?
Drawing a complete and total blank. Sent you some pictures of paintings I did, and looking for your feedback.
Oh, you sent me pictures of dicks. That's yeah. I don't critique dicks.
No, they're paintings.
Yeah, well, that's what you painted, right? A bunch of dicks.
Yeah.
Okay, that's what I thought.
Light and shadow on fur are still legitimate challenges.
Yeah, but they're dicks. Okay, so we're going to figure out the kid for right now. There is a vast worldwide audience taking place as we speak right now. Do you have any comments for the world at large, Carol?
Just be peaceful with each other and speak kindly, because the world needs it.
Okay, there you heard it. That is not a copyrighted phrase. You're free to use it in your own average life every day, where you go to work and meet friends and get drunk. So I think that's a fine way. So what I'll do is I'll just tell the kid here that I'll call her back when the live stream is done, and then we can chat, because she's got rickets, and I don't want to embarrass her by telling her that.
Well,
So
I'm in the car doing errands, so we'll catch you later, dude.
okay, well, that's where most people call. If you notice that, they call into the car. So we're gonna let the kid drive, and we're gonna talk to her later. Okay, bye, kid.
Have a good.
That's the phrase nowadays. You have a good. You don't got to say day or morning. It's just have a good. So that's apparently a catchphrase that people are using these days. It's not bad. It's not bad. Glenn Whitmore is going to get upset if I don't put those red parts on the because they come with the trunks. And since I obliterated that belt buckle thing, I'm just going to have to go in there and find a dark version of yellow. Now, believe it or not, you can do most of that mixing with black. This is something the snobs out there in the fine art world don't use black. Well, stick it, you guys, because black is. Let's just say that. Let's say if we're back in time talking to Andrew Zorn, one of the greatest painters that ever lived, and he was a contemporary of Sargent. They both used black. In fact, here's what Zorn's palette was made up of: yellow ochre, red, and black and white paint. Does that cover it? Yes, it does. Sargent said things are unpaintable without black. So all this crap you're hearing, that's why you tune into the Dude Show here. Because the Dude Show is going to tell you all the fallacies out there that you simply don't want to believe. And that's a good thing, because we can all sleep at night much better if you know that you don't have to be bothered by something that isn't something you need to bother with. So, okay, so I'm not showing this here on the screen, so that's a no-no. So, with a few... blah blahs. That's an official term right here. Here, I'll try to straighten this out here. That's the far edge of the far shoulder right there.
So Landon says that your painting is starting to look pretty awesome. Is it all just transparent watercolor so far?
Yeah, it is all transparent watercolor. If there's things I have to fix, then I'll go in with I'll mix white into the paint, and that's how you get the opaque stuff. What do I want to do with this right here? Okay, I'm going to add green. I think that's a good choice, so thanks for helping me out, guys. Actually, it should be a fire scene, shouldn't it? But this green here will help me correct a few of the inaccuracies in the profile. Be as careful as you can. Neatness counts. And we get a different brush. We're going to grab this big fat Chinese brush all the way from the Orient. I appreciate the fact that they walked a long ways just to help me out with this, these brushes here, because they're very good brushes. So for the light, I'm going to, I think, block it in with this kind of stuff. I'm going to leave a little bit of an edge there. And I'm going to eventually combine it with the green part. So I have what I call a traveling color. Handsome Glenn Whitmore knows all about this stuff right here. You know, the girl magnet. So I don't have to tell him about this, but he knows it as well as I do. We call it traveling color. You can bring a suitcase or not, it doesn't matter. So this is all wet in wet right here. Actually, it wasn't. The paint went down, that's wet, of course. And sometimes you can just let things bleed into each other. So let's see if that works or not. In the meantime, we're removing staff and having fun. So there's a bleed through there that is absolutely uncalled for. All right, I got to show it to you guys, right? I mean, that's the whole purpose of this bloody thing. So as far as corrections go, I need to. I'm either going to lift paint out of the ear area that's inferior. Let's see if I can lift a little bit and show you guys how we do it here. Okay, so you see, when you lift with a semi-dry brush, you're lifting up the color. Good paper will allow you to do that. And I'm glad you guys asked about that because I'm happy to talk about it. Let's just obliterate the whole thing, okay? There you go. Now here's something really interesting that, once again, at no charge, I'll tell you all about. Can we go shoot me over at the sink there? Can we turn the camera? Okay, good. Watch this right here, guys. This is a trick that only I use right here. And the watercolor is dry on this, okay? So watch what happens when I put it under the sink, right? With fully running water. Does it look any different besides being wet? No. So because I experiment so much, I can find out about these kind of things. So we're just going to let it dry. It kind of evened out the washes a little bit, which is part of the way you can even things out, just with a big flat brush. You just kind of go over things lightly and glaze, and don't forget to lift and separate. So that's going to be our demo for right now, for today. Thanks for hanging in there. It's vastly appreciated, and also well appreciated, if you want to come down to earth a little more. So thanks for hanging in there for the Dude broadcast of May 23rd, 2026. Remember I said I was always going to use the time that we did this in. And of course, being a man of my word and a Boy Scout, that's effortless for someone like me. I'm going to lift this area a little bit more. So you see the brush is wet, just wet enough to pick up some of the paint. You see that? Isn't that great? Yes, it is. I'm going to put some of this cerulean in here as a pretty kind of a bounce color. Flowhard here is known for bouncing. And when she wants to get up in the bed, because she has short legs, she does something that I call bouncing. That means she'll go back, ram the side of the bed, and that means she wants up. And that's called bouncing, because in fact she does bounce.
So Landon wants to know, when and why do you use colored pencils in this process?
Well, that's a good one. That's better than what pencil do I use, which we know is of vast importance. But I'll just here, we're just going to set it up here for right now. You guys want to see that, right? Color pencils are very, let's just say that I've worked with them for 2 decades now, and what you want to know about them is their qualities of how they go on and what you can do and what you can't do with them. First of all, you can't erase them. If you're, if I want to go in here and get some colored pencil in here, I can't do it now that it's wet, but I will use Prisma as a cheap substitute for wanting to mix opaque paint. When you add white to paint to make it opaque, you're going to get what is called pastel colors or chalky looking colors, and people have to watch out for that. It kills the color. And that's why people that use transparent colors, if they can use it well enough, it's very tough to do that. Their paintings have a sense of glowing. Kind of like me when I went to my high school reunion a couple weeks ago. We fix that shoulder a little bit there. So we're going to grab our big Chinese brush and this is all stuff you learn when you if you're devoted to this thing called art, and you want to be a realist. Let's put that ear in there, okay? So you see, I kind of dulled it down a little bit And I'm going to take this big fat brush and try to put the ear in, okay? But first I'm going to do something smart right here. I'm going to put the lightest kind of an orange in there to show that the light's being transmitted through the ear. So that's number one right there. That's transparent, and it's the brightest kind of color you can get. If you want bright colors, because what you're looking at is a transmitted thing through the ear, or bounce light. That's when you use color that really makes it come alive. So we have to let the ear dry a little bit. It's a little too dark, but it's transparent, so it might dry a little lighter right here.
Glenn Whitmore says, one of my favorite coloring jobs was that Superman story you drew and Jerry Ordway wrote.
Yeah, that's good. See, if you get an endorsement from a man about town like Glenn Whitmore, you know that it rates. Oh, it's ready. So I'm going to go in here with this big fat brush and add the parts that block the color from coming through here. So I'm going to make sure the tip is working right here. And I'm going to go in here and hopefully it won't bleed on me. Okay, so that's a very bad example of what it's supposed to look like. But this is actually a place where I can go with Prisma. I can either go in with opaque paint, I can either wash this out and start again, which is often a good idea if you want to keep it totally transparent. Or you can go in with a colored pencil. Colored pencil is I was going to talk about that a little more. Colored pencil is made out of wax. But it's not just wax. It's a lot of different things. I'm sure there's some clay involved. So remember how I told you guys that all paint starts the same, right? Of course you remember that. All paint starts as some kind of a rock or some natural thing that lives on the earth. Why do you think they painted barns red? It's because they had a lot of red oxide in the ground. So you would take that red oxide and oil it up and crush everything to be nice and smooth, like they do in the factories in Windsor and Newton and all that stuff. And it was so plentiful, that's why they used it. But it all starts out as powdered rock. Some colors, as you've noticed, are expensive colors, very expensive. And that's because a certain kind of colored rock they're using is very rare. It's very sparse. It's not in abundance like granite, as Bruce Lee would say it. So it's not plentiful. So the price of that tube of paint is much higher than a tube of like lemon yellow. So that's how it works. Why am I talking about this? I need a sparkling drop of effervescence. Let's go and get a new can of stuff. I'm passing Gino Ginelli. I'm reaching in to get a new drink that Gino Ginelli sold me on here. I haven't tried it, but I'm sure I'll be selling it soon. It's called this stuff right here. It's like iced tea with benefits. Yeah, I'll bet. Antioxidant super blend. Yeah, they always say that. An excellent source of vitamin C. Yeah, they say that too. With other natural flavors. Zero sugar. Boy, the world sure has changed. Do you remember how homemakers, wives during the war years used to just use bags of sugar? That's because the recipes that were shown in the women's magazines they had tons of sugar. And I don't know what it did. Maybe it did nothing. Maybe some guys got overweight from it. Because with all the sugar-free, fat-free stuffs out there, I still see people that are fat. And this definitely has that sparkling drop of effervescence. Is it dry enough here? All right, I'll try to go in with a little colored pencil Let me show you how it works. Now what's cool, because everything in the Dude Studio is cool, that's why you tune in, one of the many reasons, we're going to show you how the color pencil can help things. Now, it being made of wax and other qualities, it's if you put layer after layer, it has to be a light layer. Otherwise, if you press really hard, what's called what do they call it again? It's burnishing. You're going to flatten the paper surface down to the point where it can't take any more wax. So if I want to add this kind of stuff, it's primo for this kind of stuff. First decide where the light's coming from. Is it bouncing up? Then it would be like this, right? And it would be coming in like this, because this is the plane that it would come in. This is bounce light into, and if I want to change that, because you always have to know how to make changes, you find the same color as what your painted tone is. I'm going to go in with a, what do you call this here? It's a grayed kind of blue. It's grayed on a little bit. That's exactly what I want. So you can smooth that out. These colors are made to blend by putting one into the one color into the other. And if I want to emphasize a little more, I can either punch this up right here and darken this, or if it's not that way in nature, which it probably isn't, it's just, this is a flat plane, okay? The arm looks like this. So we have the dark side over here. That's not a very good cube right there. But the light's hitting it like this. This is in shadow. Half tone over here, but it may not. It may be dark. That's why you have to observe light and figure out how it's going to work. And okay, so let's go in there with a little bit of an orange right here, see if this works. So this is a bounce light going into the face. And you get some unbelievably cool effects with this bounce light stuff here.
Landon commented back on his question from earlier, asking when and why do you use colored pencils in the process? And he replied back to his comment saying, I suppose I was wondering why you use colored pencils in the process. And then he got excited that you were doing the sparkling drop of schwappavescence.
Schwappavescence. Well, that's understandable. That's understandable. Who wouldn't? Why do I use them? Well, if it wasn't for Drew Struzan, right, whom I call Stru, I would never bother with these stupid things. But I saw the way he used them, and of course, me wanting to be as good as I can and follow in the footsteps of Stru. Why not? The way he used them is insane. But that's what happens when you're that good. So the ear is, I'm kind of putting in the ear. It's still a little wetter on there, so it's not gonna be as punchy as it could be if it was dry. So the little bit of stuff going on here. Now, what I wanted to know is how do you smooth this stuff out? Because Prismacolor is not a smoothable kind of thing. Well, let's use logic here. You can either go in there with a darker color that goes with making this turn into a darker thing, or what? I forgot what I was talking about. Not an unheard situation when you're over 30. I know you guys all know that. There might be a little color sneaking in through here. This is probably more of a lighter tone right here. I don't think it would get that dark, but I'm using a very strong color here to get. Let's see. Okay, so it would be down here. So you see what I did there, guys? Landon, especially. that's how I would put it in. And there's a lot of guys, I don't know how they do it, but they make colored pencil look as smooth as an airbrush. I don't do that, either because I can't do it like an airbrush, or I want a little bit of a texture in there. A little bit of a texture helps offset the normal smoothness that goes into the smooth areas. See how light on my feet I am? It's just incredible how I just pick it up like that. Let's go in there with a black, okay? Now I'm going to use this very selectively. I need to darken some areas, and because it's easier than getting the paint out, I'm just adding a little bit of black to kind of round it out. Now if it's in the wrong place, like this is right here, it looks like there's blue shadows coming up. It looks like he's got a black eye. Well, nobody gives a Superman a black eye that I've ever heard of. I'm also going to push the outline a little bit with a strong, darker color. This is, whatever it is. It's alizarin. No, it's burnt umber or some damn thing. Hey, I'm an artist, not a technician, and you can quote me on that. So that is the lower part of the lip right there. That's the way it works. Okay, so by adding that color pencil, it's just a substitute tool to get color in. It's not paint. It doesn't go on like paint. But if you learn how to blend it by using a light yellow, a little darker yellow, and then a dark yellow, that's how things look smooth and round. Okay, so that's essentially it right there. I'll sign this later on, but you can see how I. All right, you asked for it. So I'm going to add a little bit of orange in here to show the reflected light coming in here. And that, you can see how that sets off a very earthy kind of a tone, which means it's not bright. It's just it's a dark version of skin color, which is going to be a dark orange or a dark red or a dark combination of colors.
Yeah, Landon wrote back and said, okay, I can see what it's doing. It's adding a fine texture and blending to it. Wow, that's the magic touch.
Yeah, but here's the bad touch. I thought I could just pick this up, color pencil, and just use it like Stru uses it. Sorry, Charlie. I have spent the last at least 13 years trying to get used to this stuff. Now, I've had more disasters than I have successes, but the successes show me that it's possible to get exactly what I want with the color pencil. It's fidgety. It's temperamental. Work with it and see if you can make more sense of it than I do. But when it works for a reason.
Are there brands of color pencils that work better than others?
Yes, there is. Prismacolors are fine. They're made down in Mexico, and they have a kind of a crappy industry to make tool making setup for the pencils, and they get a little brittle. But if you want a hard pencil, go with polychromos. I don't like hard pencils; they don't blend very well. This has got more clay in it that makes them soft. So I like the softness of it. In fact, that's what I call Gino, soft ortis. And what else? So I like this. The ultimate pencil that I know of is Luminance pencil, and they're made by the same Caran d'Ache company that makes the polychromos. At some point, I had to go online and find out what color pencils were all about. Now, online will tell you everything. It's going to tell you where they're made, how they're made, who ends up stealing some of the color pencils to ship them to a friend like me, or and they'll show you the wood and how everything goes into place, and they have a big pot mixture of clay and other colors, wax that go into make these pencils right here. And they eventually come spit out in a pencil form. Now you can see the color part is a little off center. The snobby ones, the better ones, like Luminance, would have that exactly in the center. But for Prismacolor, they don't care. But they still work really good, and you have more variety of colors through Prismacolor than any other color pencil. Does that mean you can't mix and match? No, you can use any colored pencil you want. They're all kind of the same when you come right down to it. But the best pencil I've ever seen for the softness that I like, better than even in Prismacolor, is Luminance. There's a couple other pencils that are really good. Derwent makes a pencil called Color Soft. So that kind of explains it right there. It's a color and it's soft. So the wax they put into making this stuff is very it's not a hard surface. It's just hard enough and just soft enough, like baby Bav's bed. So have I covered everything? Well, I think I have. It's time to go and have a root beer and some more of that sparkling drop of Schwab of essence.
Landon, what's new? What do you do if you mess up with the colored pencils, though, now that you have got a layer of wax on there?
People say you can't erase it. You can erase a lot of it. Just take a pink eraser and just, let's find out here, okay? So this is color pencil right here, okay? I'm going to make it pretty dark. You don't quite get rid of all of it, but you can get away with enough of it to make it the same thing as anything that you use, which has to have the ability to change something when it goes wrong. So in this case, I erased it. It's like any other pencil. But the softer it is, I think it's the easier to erase. Let's see if I have any luminance here. Well, I just happen to have it right here. This is the one I was using right here. This is Luminance, okay? Luminate and then ANCE. This is an orange. They make them in different countries, so they have all the different names for orange here. But this is how I sharpen them. I can go in this right here and get a really sharp point, but I want a longer point. And so I have a lot more to go like this with here. That covers it much better than this kind of stuff, okay? So this is all self-explanatory. These are all things that if you go to art school, you will find out all about. That's what school is supposed to be for, last I heard. But the really expensive schools, like the animation school, CalArts, I don't know how much longer they're going to be around, because anything you can learn now can be learned from tutorials online. The horse is never going to go away. The horse in the buggy is never going to go away. But let's just say that it's got replaced by things that can go a little faster and a little less bumpy. But it's still around if you want to use it. I'm keeping this bumpy, or crappy as I call it. Here's the things I was showing you earlier that I'm probably going to finish on my own. That's Robert Fawcett, the guy that was pioneering the use of colored inks, which they make a lot better now. So these great illustrators, I tell you. Here is the sketchbook. This is the cover. This is the back cover. There's a lot of color pencil in there that I didn't really smooth out well. But if you look at a close-up of this face right here, can we get a close-up of this? That's got a lot of prism in there, but it's modeled so that it looks smooth, smoother than things like this right here, or this. That's very telltale. If you want to smooth it out, you need to go in with colors that are darker next to it, so it blends. Okay, so it's an optical kind of blend. But this is the cover for the Nexus show right here, and this is another cover right here. Boy, there's all these multiple colors. I wonder. Okay, so the hard cover and soft cover. And don't forget the things that make you have very good technical renderings here, okay? And is that it? Oh, we wanted to show you the cover for the Battle for THUNEWORLD, the second in an ongoing installment of work that is done solo by me. Written it, drew it, lettered it, and Glenn takes over the color. It's not what I need to make improvements. I just kind of go in there myself. But rarely does that happen. He's just so good at what he does. So this computer coloring is just amazing. This is nothing to do with computer. This is entirely my my paint illustration traditional way of doing things. So that's THUNEWORLD. You guys can still order these books. The sketchbook and the Comment of Gormando is a hardcover, but you won't get the goodies that came with the people that ordered early. The early egg birds, or the early birds as we call it. Actually, we call it the early egg birds, because egg bird is a character in Nexus. So there you go. That's going to be the entire tutorial for today. How do I end this here? Other than saying the end, I'll just remember this is every Saturday at 1:30. So wherever you are, Iceland, Japan, Singapore, some poverty-ridden streets in Detroit, you're all welcome to join. And I like comments. Everyone likes to have comments come in because it tells us who basically work alone in a vacuum here what you guys are thinking out there. And the more people that write in, the better. In fact, we're looking for letters that have to do with THUNEWORLD, so we can print them in the Nexus book. So all you guys that are inclined to get out your pen pal stationery or go to your keyboard or your old-fashioned typewriter, write up your opinions about what you thought of THUNEWORLD, and then they will go on the letters page, because we have a letters page in these books right here, because I want them to come back.
They can send those to steve@steverude.com.
And there you go. That wraps it up for this live stream on May 23rd, 2026. We had fun today. We'll see you next week and have more fun. Take care, you guys.